Welcome to the Midnight Series, where we slip into our PJs and lean into the uncomfortable, one late night conversation at a time. Think of this as your late night sleepover with friends, the kind where conversation gets real after the lights go out. So slip into your PJs, grab your favorite beverage, and let's begin.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Well, I'm in my parents' house because we were going to come back last night, but then it's actually my dad's birthday today. And my brother came in late from Destin last night. So he really wanted to see the kids this morning. So we stayed one extra day. And so my mom is out with Noah right now getting a balloon and some cupcakes for my dad. I know, I was so excited.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm glad you stayed an extra day. Tell your dad I said happy birthday.
I will. He's like not a big birthday guy. Which I feel like most men aren't. But yeah, I was like, I didn't get him a present this year. And because he's so hard to shop for, and I knew he would be irritated. Just like financially, things are crazy right now. And so I was like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't get you a present, but I'm gonna make you some bagels, some sourdough bagels. And he was like, okay. And so I ended up making the bagels this weekend, and Evan was like, no, really, they're the best bagels you'll ever have. And not to toot my own horn, but truly. And my dad was like, okay. And so then I made him, brought him to him, and I was like, here you go, like, here's your bagel. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is the best bagel I've ever had in my life. She was like, that's so good. And so he was like, yeah, perfect present. Bagels for the rest of my life for my birthday. Works with me.
Yeah, that's a great gift.
Yeah, so fun. But yeah, how have you guys been? What have you been up to?
We've been good. Oh my gosh, this weekend was so fun. My sister came into town with her husband and her two
I
kids.
love it. I bet Phoebe was happy.
Oh yeah, because they play from morning to night, and it's like nonstop playtime. It's outside, in the pool, play with the Barbie house, playing games, playing dress up. So it's like just so much chaotic fun
Oh my
all
gosh.
weekend. And like when my sister has to go back to Raleigh, her kids are wiped out. My kids are wiped out. The parents are wiped out, but it's like the best kind of tired.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like your cup runneth over kind of tired.
Yes, exactly. It was so fun. It actually was really nice down here this
It was
weekend.
so
And so
nice
we
here
just went
too.
by the
It
pool.
was like 80.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I got sunburnt. I don't know if you can
Oh my
tell.
gosh.
It might have soaked in, but I
Yeah.
got my face got roasted. And MP comes over Saturday with her family, and she's like, what happened to you?
She's like, do you know of this thing called sunscreen?
Which you look insane. It's like the beginning of March. If you are
You're
absolutely
like,
fried.
I'm trying
But
to
I
get my
didn't
tan in.
realize. Well, I didn't even realize I walked past my mom's window and I like looked in and I'm like, Mama, am I sunburned? She was like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. But I couldn't, usually I could feel it. I couldn't feel it. I guess it was setting in, but I was red. But it was so fun. We watched the Carolina Duke game. I don't know if you guys are big Tar Heel fans, but my family is big time because my mom and her brothers went to Chapel Hill. So we're like dedicated Tar Heel family.
See, we're not. I went to state, obviously. Evan went to state for grad school. My parents both went to Ole Miss, so we don't have like any really and like Evan and I aren't big sports people. He watches UFC, but that's pretty much it. And some football occasionally.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny.
I feel like I've gotten into my sports era this past year because my husband, he loves that quality time, and so do I. But like, I can't watch shows that are like war shows or crime shows. Or it's just too much for me. And so I'm like, well, I'm just gonna watch sports with you. And so we made like the Winter Olympics part of our personality in this house.
Stop. Did you really?
We get so into it. Oh my gosh, we were so into it. And they're like, we'll watch golf, and I actually enjoy it.
Do
I
you
never thought I
really?
would be a sports wife, but I am.
That is
I
so
think I just like being with him
yeah.
and seeing the things he
And
loves.
it like brings
So
him joy and he gets probably so into it.
yeah,
You're like, oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Phoebe and Hazel are so into sports right now, like basketball and football.
Really?
I know, I know. Hazel's really into football.
Like playing it or watching it?
Watching it.
That is so funny.
They're getting really into playing like softball and soccer in the yard. That's what they played all weekend. It was like 9:30 at night, and Ross and Willem and Kyle were out there, and they were just like in an intense soccer game with the kid.
Oh,
It was so cute.
my gosh. That's adorable. I love it.
They were so precious.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that so much. That was a really good weekend too. Evan had his book signing at
Yeah, how
Barnes
did
and
that
Noble. It went
go?
great. He sold like 21 copies there.
Oh my
And then
gosh, that is amazing.
I know. And he had people like come in
Wow.
from social, and it was a big thing. And then he sold a couple more online just of people that couldn't, that aren't in North Carolina and things like that. And so
Yeah.
it was so fun. It was so cool. We got to trying to look for my phone. We got to bring the kids, and it was so cute because Noah was like, "Why are people buying Daddy's book?" And I was like, "Well, he wrote them for other people." And she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, because that's what he did. Like he's kind of." She's like, "Well, why? But why do they want his book?" And I was like, "Well, because he's kind of internet famous."
Yeah. She's like, what is that?
She's like, it's just like, huh? And I was like, oh, people just
Okay,
hear what he
yeah.
has to say. And she's like, oh, okay.
Well, so he got to meet some of his followers in person.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was so cool. He said, and he loves it. Like, he said there was one
Yeah.
girl that came and she was like, she was like the first one there. She was like, I didn't know if there was going to be a line or something. And I just knew I had to be here, like, to see you and like get the book. And it was so sweet. And there were like
so
some
cool.
other people who, came in and they're like, yeah, I saw you were going to be here. We did not market this one very well. So we're marketing the other ones better, but for not marketing it and still having like 21 people buy, a couple people came too, but they couldn't afford a book or like they didn't buy a book. They just want to just like see him and chat. And he was so down to do that. And this one guy was like, I can't afford a book, but can you sign my Pokemon card? And Evan was like, yeah, of course.
I love that.
I know.
That's so sweet.
I know.
So did he read a little excerpt and then they like asked him questions and then he signed, or what did that look like?
He just had a table like up in the front. We had a big banner made. And he just was like sitting there signing books, just chatting with people. And it was very chill, very relaxed. And not actually like he didn't do a talk or a reading. And he has a couple more. He's got Asheville next weekend, Charlotte the following weekend, and then Raleigh the weekend after that. And then he has a Cary one, I think, in May, which is odd. It's like all of these were in March, and then we have the Cary one in May. But it's been really good. His publisher is actually, I think I told you this, but his publisher is actually going out of business again for the second time. Like it already happened one time, went to a new publisher. Now they're all going out of business. And so it is kind of nerve wracking because, he's like, oh gosh, am I going to get the book rights back? And if I do, then, like I mean, it is essentially like a self-published book right now because the publisher has just been like MIA. But sorry, can you hear the dogs? No. Okay. We have construction, obviously downstairs going through because we're gonna move it with my parents for a little bit, and so we're renovating the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And they're building up that room. Dad actually came out this morning of this is like the guest room. I walked out this morning and Noah was up all night because she was scared. So I was exhausted. I like walked out and there were these two men right there because they are also they're like redoing their laundry room. And
Mm-hmm.
they like two men right there. And I had no idea they were coming. And I just like walked out of my room and I was like, and
Well,
they were like, good morning. And I was like, good morning.
oh, yes. My he's a general contractor, and they start their days early.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
What is 6 o'clock is
I was like, oh my gosh.
a little early.
And I'm so glad my dogs weren't out there because I think if they had come up, like
Mhm.
Luke would have, I'm like worried he would have bit one of them.
Yeah, yeah,
And so, but yeah, they're so nice. And so, but there's just a lot of things going on in this house right now. But yeah, we are officially moving to Greensboro. We're gonna live with my parents while we kind of get back on our feet, look for land, figure out if we want to
Mhm.
do like an older farmhouse type thing and renovate, or if we want to do like an actual build at some point. I don't know. We're like going back and forth on what our next step is. And we were a little bummed to leave Raleigh, but I actually really think this is the best decision. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm excited.
yeah. I think so too. You should talk to Dad and have him weigh out the pros and cons of like a
Yeah.
remodel versus a new build because he does both, and he'll give you the straight up.
Yeah. Well, we've even considered
Yeah.
doing something because I think Susan's gonna live with us eventually, Evan's grandma. And so we're trying to figure out what makes the most sense. Like, do we get an old farmhouse that's on a bunch of land and we kind of live in that for a year or two while we're building our house and we like kind of renovate it so that it's not like, it's livable, it's nice. And then she lives in the farm, like she gets the farmhouse and kind of like y'all
Mhm.
have like right behind each other.
Yeah,
Although y'all don't
compound.
have, yeah, like a compound type thing, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, like, do we do that? Do we do like because she wants to buy a house out here. So then is she gonna have like a separate, and she's getting older. So we're trying to figure out, I know she wants her own house, and I want her to have her own
Yeah.
space, but it's like, are we, I don't want her to have some big house all by herself that isn't near us
Mhm.
or that's in a
Yeah.
neighborhood. And, she likes to be in a neighborhood though, because she likes to stay with the youngin. She's like, it keeps me
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's just like so much to weigh what our next step is out here. So that's why we're like, we need help. With the kids, we need just like we want to move to Greensboro in general just to like be closer to family. So instead of just like
Mhm.
trying to like sell our house while we're looking for another one, and then we're like, my
Mhm.
parents have the room. They're so gracious. They're like, yeah, stay here. They're renovating, which is great. And we'll have our own space
Mhm.
here while we kind of figure out where we're going to
Yeah.
live.
I think that's great. I'm excited for you
I
guys. It's gonna be
know. I'm
awesome.
excited too. Well, sorry, I feel like I like digressed off of what we were supposed to talk about today. Um,
I don't even know what we're talking about
I
today, so
know.
that's
I
fine.
know. I think you said you wanted to do a recap of February, which was like connecting to my
Yes.
body
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and my want. It was
Mhm.
okay. So it turned into less my body and more my mind, my like
Okay.
my
Like mental health.
yeah, not mental health, but like my want, like
Oh, like your
my
desires?
desires. Yes.
Okay.
And I thought that was
Okay.
so interesting because, yeah, I started out, I was like, oh, it's going to be my body. It's so clear. Like, I am,
Mhm.
moving more, I'm eating more, or like eating differently. And I definitely am. But it was so much more than that. And so I ended up and I feel I've like ghosted social media. So I need to get back on there and give an update.
I think it's great.
But
I think it's
I
great.
know, but
Sometimes we need a digital detox.
I
It's
know.
really good for the
I
soul.
know. I've just been like not posting at all. And I'll go on stories occasionally, but it is just not a priority of mine right now while I'm kind of building everything. And it will be one day. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think you're right.
that's okay.
Detoxes are good for the soul. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I ended up, I've been eating at home pretty much since November. Like we haven't really eaten out much. If we have, it's been like once a month, maybe twice a month, or if we're
Okay.
traveling or something. Um, and we mostly did that just to like, well, we were just eating out way too much. It was just ridiculous. And it's just not good. And we were feeling kind of crappy too. And then also we were like, we need to rein this back. We don't need to be spending this much on DoorDash. It's freaking ridiculous.
Mhm.
And so we just started cooking, and I kind of got into sourdough in January. Still am doing it. It's still going
Mhm.
strong. We're into March and I'm pretty proud
Yeah.
of myself.
Yeah.
And I actually was like, oh, I really want Chick-fil-A this month. So I got it and it gave me a headache. And I was like, oh, interesting. This is weird. And then I don't know what we had, some other kind of food from somewhere else. And it gave me the worst headache. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can I not eat out like at all anymore? I had no idea that I
Mhm.
was like, I feel like I'm not even eating that healthy either at home. Like, it's not like I'm eating grilled chicken and brown rice every day. We're eating good. Like, I mean, I'll make our own pizza, or we'll make a taco, and
Mhm.
I'll do a panini or like things like that. I make focaccia. Like, there's a lot of different, but
Mhm.
I am just blown away. And I know that people always say that there's a lot of crap in our food, but I don't know why I just didn't believe it until I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
now I
Yeah.
literally eat out and I get a headache. Or we
Mhm.
had
Yeah.
wings and Evan was so sick from the like fried
Mhm.
wings.
I wonder because I think restaurants use a lot of oil,
Mm-hmm.
whereas when I think that hits people a lot harder than you realize. But again, if you eat out often, your body probably got used to it.
Yeah.
And then you went through like that detox of not having it. And then when you introduce it back in, it's almost like a foreign object to
Yes.
your body and it just starts attacking it. It's like, what is this? We don't
We
like
don't like
this.
it.
Or at least
Exactly.
for me, that's what happens to
No, that
me.
is exactly
Um,
what happened. We were just, oh my gosh, I was blown away because I was like, I can't believe I was
mhm.
eating this every day and I didn't even notice that I
Yeah.
was so like, I guess, I don't know. Like, I'm like, now I have a headache and now I do feel less
Hmm.
like swollen a little bit. My these
Hmm.
terrible nails. We got a new knife for our sourdough.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh
Cut
my gosh,
yourself.
it's so good." It's like cuts it like butter. This is amazing. Like, I love it. And it cut through my finger and then it cut the tip right here off too. I didn't even notice.
Mhm.
It's so good. It's like such a good knife. I didn't even feel it. I just started bleeding.
My God.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, anyway, so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be connecting with my body, like, this is it." And there was some of that, like I just said,
Mhm.
but there was even more that I noticed of, like, I was working through in spirit like, in my spiritual, art therapy stuff with Heather.
Mhm.
We were kind of working through just desire and, like, what my wants are, and I told her, I was like, I really, I feel like I can't have more kids because of this, or I feel like I can't do this because of that. I feel like I can't do a product business because then it's shiny object syndrome and I'm good at what I do service wise. So I shouldn't, go outside the box of what I currently have and really shitting myself a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so this month I really tried, there was an exercise that she gave me and it kind of changed, which is why it changed the trajectory of this month. But it was essentially you need to write down everything you want, but you think you can't have. And so I wrote it all down. And then she was like, okay, why can't you have that? You need to like write the reason beside it. And then you need to go through all of the reasons and figure out, is this something that is like actually like not imagined, but a belief that I have that's not actually real that I can, move through. So it's kind of like limiting belief buster type thing. Is this an actual constraint and like time? Like if I give it time, is this going to get better? Or if I give this to God, is this something I can give to God and just like, hey, I don't have to handle this. If I want this desire is on my heart. If I'm meant to have it, put it in my life. And
yeah, I was going to say, it almost sounded like a prayer list.
Yes.
Is another way to word
exactly.
it. Yeah. Or like a prayer board at the beginning of the year.
Exactly.
Everything you think you want.
But I realized I was only praying for things that I thought I could achieve. And so for me, that was like a huge moment of I wasn't asking for things I didn't think I could have for whatever the reason was. So I wasn't asking God, you really can't hear my dog.
I
Okay.
just started hearing them. Is that Luke?
Go. Yes.
It sounds like him.
It is Luke. Yes. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. But yeah, I just started kind of asking him like for I'd say kids because I really want more kids, but I feel like I literally cannot handle it. I am at my max. Evan's at his max. We're exhausted. Also, they're very little, so I think that's normal. It might change in a year or two. And then financially, like, how are we going to support more kids? This is, we want to give them the life that we want to give them, right? We want to give them the world. How do we do that with more? Two is already kind of hard enough and tried to save for college. And anyway, I have all these things in my head. And so,
yeah, I think a lot of parents, mentally process that when deciding if they want more than one.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
more than two. Or
Exactly. And so
it's a real thing.
it is. And so I'm like, okay, why do I think that I can't have more than 3 kids? And so I wrote down, time, I wrote down finances, I wrote down all these different things. And I kind of just started going through them one by one. And I was like, you know what? I can give this to God. Like, she was like, what if you were like, hey, I do want 3 or 4 kids, but it's just not right now. Why don't, can I just give this? How can I give this to God? Like, and it's not like, oh God, I give it to you. Okay, I'm good. I'm healed. It's miraculous, right? But it's just kind of like going back to the list when you're feeling, just kind of catching yourself in those moments of like, oh, I really want something or I want this, but I feel like I can't have it. Why? And then just working through mentally, why can't I have it? And it's like, oh, this isn't, I haven't had a desire that I felt wasn't of God, truly. Recently, at least. Like, I think that's something I've had to unlearn as well. And I know we've kind of talked about this, but how a lot of churches and pastors kind of preach that desire is inherently sinful and that your wants are not godly. They're not of God. And so, and I think they can be that way. Like they cannot be of God. But I also think that God puts these desires in your heart for a reason a lot of times. And it's to either push you into the person that you are called to be, or to push you into being somebody like the career path or the mom or the person that you're called to be, or it's to help and serve others in some way. And so I'm not talking about like desires of like, oh, I really want, a chocolate chip cookie. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those like, I don't even know.
Spiritual
Yeah,
desires.
the like
Emotional
yearning.
desires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you really want a Range Rover.
No. And even if I did, fine. Like, I don't know if that
Yeah.
necessarily is that like divine desire I am talking
Right.
about. It's not a
Right.
material desire.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a being desire
Yeah. Yeah.
and the spiritual desire. And so I think I had a hard time, or I was previously combining the two of like, oh, these
Mm-hmm.
material, which again, you can have material desires. I don't think those are sinful either. I think they're just desires. They're just wants. Like, I don't think wanting something that is of material value is sinful at all. I think God wants us to enjoy our lives here and whatever brings you joy, absolutely. But that's between you and God. Like for me, maybe that doesn't align with me. Maybe a Range Rover doesn't align with
Mm-hmm.
me. Maybe it does. Maybe I do want
Mm-hmm.
a Range Rover. Like right now, that definitely does not align with my desire and my purpose. But that
Mm-hmm.
also, who's to say in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, after I've really done the work that I'm set out to do, who's to say that isn't a part of my life and my service and my, God being like, hey, you want this? Go for it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? What
Yeah.
are your
I
thoughts
think,
on that?
I don't know. I have a really hard time with
Materialism?
material. Yes, only because I was raised actively against
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But not in the fact, like, obviously you can look around my home. It's not like I'm living in a tent.
Yeah.
Like I definitely come from white privilege.
Yeah.
Like I'll be the first to say that. But I don't know. I just had it like ingrained in me, like all of us, my siblings, my cousins, my grandparents were very against that. And they were very, I guess, I guess it was their era.
Mhm.
So they went through the Depression
Yeah.
era. My grandma, her parents were farmers. There were 6 of them. And so they weren't raised that way either.
Mhm.
Um, and my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side, they were very adamant about any wealth that you had was meant to help your family be stable. And then the rest of it is supposed to go to other people.
Mhm.
And that's just like their moral code. Like my grandpa was a very successful man, but the modeled behavior that I saw my whole life was he would drive around an old Honda and it was so beat up that he had to roll down the window, reach around and open the car door from the outside, but he wouldn't go get a
That
new
sounds
car.
like my dad's old
Like,
truck.
yeah. And the funniest way to describe him was, my mom's really involved in Weekend Meals on Wheels.
Mhm.
And so they did this like commercial shoot to like advertise, the services that they were providing for New Hanover County. And my grandpa was like the actor, the elderly man that needed the assistant. and and what he showed up wearing, they were like, "You're good. You don't need something." He was just like, and there's nothing wrong with the way he dressed, but like he got his shoes from Walmart.
Mhm.
Those like black, New Balance, like
Yeah.
classic, all black, and like his little cargo shorts and his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what he wore on a daily basis. And he just like, he didn't spend money because he cared so much about generational wealth,
Mhm.
but he also cared about if I'm entrusted with this, then it is my obligation to serve my family and to serve people.
Absolutely.
So I think for me, it's really hard to get out of that mindset. But like my husband, to some degree, is not the opposite because he's the same way too. He's very giving with what he has, but he also doesn't mind driving a new car
Yeah.
or doesn't mind having a nice watch. And it's like, for him, he works really hard
Yeah.
for what he does. And so I don't know, there's just like a fine balance of it.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's your intention going into it.
Mhm.
And maybe it's not the material things that are the problem. Maybe
I think it's the heart.
that you're trying to seek validation from these things. That's the problem. Like, it's always a deeper.
Absolutely. I think that I don't think that God calls us all to, I think your grandpa was probably amazing, but I don't think God calls all of us to be to that level of,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
in a way, he didn't have those desires. Like he didn't have the
Yeah.
desire
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
get nice shoes or to drive, get a new car. And so in a weird way, his desire was to not. And so he
Yeah. Yeah.
still obtained his desire in just a different
Yeah.
way. And so but that is a good example of what I think we see in the Bible a lot. We see, Jesus was a carpenter. He had a very humble, job. Was it Paul who was also, he like he worked, but then he would just so he could support his preaching. Was that right?
I think a lot
A
of,
lot of the disciples.
well, I think, yeah, but also they were, getting money, like donations for their ministry, but like the value of $1 back
Yeah.
then, way different.
Yeah. But they
But I
all had
think
to
that's
work
like
to
this.
to like to
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
fund, getting the message out
Correct.
there.
Yeah.
They all had they weren't just like working and getting these donations to build on themselves. It was to build for the kingdom. And so,
Well, yes. Yeah. And they were like oppressed by the Roman
yeah,
government.
yeah.
So they were working to pay taxes and to keep their family safe, and then also to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I guess where I was going with it is that I think a lot of people take that as like, oh, you need to have very humble a very humble life. And I think humble looks different to many people. Like some people are like, oh, well, I am being humble, but I still like nice things. Or, oh, I am, I don't know what that looks like. I try not to like judge other people. I do think there are people out there that, just like you said, seek validation and seek that, or they're searching for that. I don't think they find it in material things, but it's all about the name brand, the designer, the car, the location of the house, the custom build, all of these things, and yet they still kind of feel empty.
well, it's like a dopamine
Yeah.
chase, you
Yeah.
know? It's it I think it's like people are looking at the wrong thing
Yeah.
when they're saying that is worldly, which I do to some degree believe, because like you can't take any of that to heaven. But say you just I think it's all about your intentions
Yeah, I agree.
of the decisions you make, what you've been gifted with by God. It's even like our house.
Yeah.
We have a custom build. We built a nice house. This is the house we wanted, but we made sure that this house was available to anyone who needed it. And so this is where, we feed college kids on Sundays. It's where people come to mourn a loss, or like the door is always open. So it never felt like it was just
Your
our
home.
house. It really feels like a place of fellowship. And even this weekend, we had a bunch of people over to pack Easter baskets for the foster pantry.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a church outside of a church,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense at all.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, I think we all as humans chase comfort.
Of
And that's
course.
just
Well,
part of
and
our.
God does to an extent want us to have comfort, but finding that comfort within him, not in things.
Mhm. But then it's like, I also have I don't know if you ever feel this way. I'm sure you do, but I get like spiritual and religious guilt really bad for the things that we've been entrusted with.
Yeah.
It's like there's two sides of it. I'm very grateful for how hard my grandpa worked because he really did come from nothing, like a very humble beginning. He was a janitor, so he could afford to go to college. So like he's put in his time, he's put in the work. He wanted to make sure it was very important to him that his family would be financially secure. And I'm very privileged and grateful for that. But at the same time, I have such immense guilt for it
Why do you have,
because I'm like,
because guilt implies that you did something wrong.
I know. And it's something I've like had to talk to my mom about because she's like, but God entrusted us with this and it's our duty to carry this on and keep providing for people. That's honoring Papa's legacy. That's honoring God. But I'm like, but what about the people who feel like they've done something wrong because they didn't? I feel weird using the language of we've been entrusted with this because it implies that someone else was not worthy of the same amount. And I get really tripped up about honoring his legacy, but like the white privilege of it really trips me out too, where I'm like, am I compartmentalizing this correctly? Like, is this just white privilege or is this a gift? I know
No,
I'm rambling.
no,
This is like my inner thoughts just like
no,
wrestling with each other. And the best thing I can do to make myself feel better is give, 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 and make sure I'm a space that people feel safe with and they can heal.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like an internal battle with me constantly.
So a couple things I think stood out to me when you were saying that, and I get that because I've wrestled with the exact thing, like down to
Okay.
white privilege. I like in college. That's part of the reason I started getting my master's in ed, and I was studying like inclusivity and different kinds of essentially like where that shows up in our education system, in our home system, like in all of the different. And so I completely understand where you're coming from because you're like, is this truly of God or is this me telling myself this is of God? And
Yeah.
it's, we're just perpetuating this cycle that actually isn't of Him. And I think that one, God doesn't give us things or entrust us. I know you don't love that word because it can sometime imply that he's trusting some people with one thing and not others, or he's taking away from somebody and giving it to you or to your family. And maybe people listening are like, well, why haven't I been entrusted with that? I've been a very faithful servant. I have been walking the path. And I think it's, I've been in prayer a lot on that too, of like, why are we where we are and these people are here? Like, and we truly are running different races. It's like comparing apples to oranges. And that does not negate the white privilege that I have, that you have, that, the financial privilege just in and of itself that we all carry. That does not negate that and say that that's not real, because it 100% is. And people that are of color, of different nationality, they are at a disadvantage in our country. 100%. Like there's nothing wrong saying that because that is so true. But I think to try and take like what we have been given, trying to like downplay that and not use that to the advantage to help other people like you're doing, I think that is more of a disservice to God. Does that make sense?
I think it does because that resonated with me where it's like the guilt of it is human. And I think it's like the empathetic side to me, but it also, when it becomes consuming, it's a distraction for me to not be paying
1000%.
attention to other people who could use the help and who need
Well, and who's
the
to
help. But
say
it is
sorry to interrupt you, but like who's to say where these people are in their life that you're helping? Like, who's to say they're not going to get to the point where you and your family are? Like, your grandpa, I'm sure there were people along the way in his life that helped him get to the place that he was able to get to. And so I just, like, get chills thinking about it.
Absolutely.
But I think that
No, that gave me the chills.
yeah, so I think that
Yeah.
a lot of like, that is the whole point of the kingdom is, like, we are being yeah, we're right now you are blessed with these items, and these are the tools in your tool belt so that you can help other people become like, get more tools in their tool belt and become just, again, like, replicating and spreading the word.
Elevated. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't think that there should
Mhm.
be guilt in because you didn't do anything wrong in this issue. You were born into it. You acknowledge the privilege. You acknowledge everything that the advantages you have, and you go, okay, instead of just like taking these advantages and being entitled and feeling that this is all mine, I know this is from God. And God, how do you want me to do this? Who do I need to serve? Who do I need to help along the way? You know, and that doesn't mean you need to give it all away or that doesn't you shouldn't have nice things. We all like nice things, I think. Maybe not your grandpa, but
Mhm.
most of us like nice things.
No, his definition of the lottery was to was a McDonald's coffee senior priced, and you would get two, and you got free refills. So he would put it in two traveler cups, and then you would get two more, and that
I
was
love
like
it. Luxury.
luxury. But
Love
it's
it.
so true what you're saying, and I think it goes back to the battle that I wrestled with too. And my mom reminds me, she's like, well, Rebecca, you've not always been where you're at today.
No.
Like you did have to struggle financially and emotionally. And like you went through your own battles and your own struggles as well. It's not like you just woke up to where you're at. Like don't forget the hardships, don't forget the valleys because that's where God showed up the most.
Yeah.
But I have such a hard time with that as well of telling myself that my struggles are not valid because people have it so much worse.
Mm, yeah.
And
I get
so I
that.
have the guilt with that as well. Um,
I think again
and that's just something to
it's a
wrestle with.
different race, like you're not I struggle wise. We all are put on this earth for a purpose. And in order to achieve what we are set out to do, I think we have to learn and we have to have these experiences and we have to go through things that mold us into the people that God wants us to become to fulfill his mission on this earth. And that mission looks different for every single person. And so I think that when you have struggles, it is natural to be like, gosh, there's so much going on in our world. Like there's people that are
Mhm.
starving across the world. There are
Mm.
people that are
Yeah.
getting bombed
Yeah.
literally at elementary
Yeah.
schools. Like, and
Yeah.
that's heavy. And you're like, this seems like small potatoes when I put it at scale. But it doesn't again, it doesn't negate that. Like you saying I'm struggling right now does not negate what the horrible, evil things that are going on in our world and the other terrible struggles that people are going through. And so I think that and two, I think it's another distraction of being like, well, I shouldn't feel this. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to address this struggle and this feeling that I'm going through. I'm going to just stuff it down. And I think that the devil wants us to do that, right? Like he wants us to not address it, to work through it, to get through it, to get past it. And then that way it just keeps popping up each time. And
Yeah. The guilt can stay.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah. It's funny because I listened to a Tim Mackey talk in that course I'm taking
yeah,
on
yeah,
the origins of the Hebrew Bible. And he was talking about how, you know, the prophets and what they preached. And it is against all of these, like it was warnings against all of the horrific things that are happening in the world, but
yeah,
also like the material things
yeah,
and stuff like that. But he made the point that Isaiah had so much influence in his job that he could speak directly to the king.
mhm,
Um, Elijah, I'm probably using the wrong prophet names, but they were like priests. They were at an elevated status um, to actively talk to these people and say these warnings to the community. So it's like kind of what we're talking about is they were in the position that they were put in, probably of elevated status.
Yeah.
But they still were actively preaching against oppression, monarchy, wealth.
All of these
So
things. Yeah.
so I'm wondering if this has just been a wrestle for people since the beginning of time, and
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just trying to figure out
Well,
the verbiage that of the feelings that we're supposed to feel. But I think you're so right. If we are so fixated on the guilt, then we just are not doing our part in what we're supposed to be doing in helping other people.
yeah. And I think the word you're looking for isn't guilt. I think it's sadness. I think you're sad that
For the world. Yeah.
that other people don't have what you have. I think you're sad that our world is the way that it is and you feel a little helpless. And you're like, "Well, I have this. How do I give how do I give to other people? How do I like should I have this? Should I have, but I can't help it. This is the family I was born into." And so, yeah, you can't help it. You can't, why you were born into privilege and another person wasn't. I don't know. I can't, like, we can't actually answer that. But all we do know is that we need to use what we were born into to spread the word and to actively fight against, like you said, oppression, um, in all aspects, right? Like not just in the just not in our community or the United States, but just at a globe. And people do that differently. You have Maddie May and some of these other influencers online that are actively speaking up on their platforms. There's other people that speak up and by going in person and protesting. I think there's other people who speak up and actually they're in government and they're in politics and I think again, it goes back to what is your purpose and like, where are you being called to actively fight that oppression? It might not be online. And I think you do need to, I go back and forth on this too. I think I struggle with this of like, do I need to make a public statement? And there's a lot of thought on that online, right? There's a lot of people saying that if you don't make a public statement, that is a public statement. If you do make a public statement, then you're on one side and you're like alienating yourself from another side. And I think it just all goes towards this division, which is the total opposite of what God wants us to be, which is in unity. And so it's like every decision now, I kind of run it through a lens of like, okay, God, is this what you want for me? Is this unifying your people? And if the answer is, I don't know, I just don't do it. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm not going to do it. And it might not be the right decision. I'm going to make mistakes. I think there's multiple times that I maybe should have spoken up or I should have said things and I didn't. And I 100% own that. I know I'm not perfect. And all we can do is just like, again, just be in that conversation with him and be like, hey, but for a long time, it was hard for me to hear him. And I think a lot of people struggle with hearing him as well.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way. And sometimes I feel like a lot of my work that I am doing to fight against that is like the way that I raise my children in resistance to this type of thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just as important, if not just as powerful as making a social media post of raising human beings that are going to be adults one day.
Yeah.
To know how to treat other humans.
I 100% agree with that because sorry. I think Noah and my mom got back and everyone's freaking out there. But no, I think that's 100% true. I think that's one of the most important jobs because we are kind of like that is our next generation. That is our future. Our kids are our future. Other kids are. And so I think that moms, educators, community leaders, like that is yes, not to say more important than social media, but I think if you're struggling with speaking out on social media, it's okay. And I think there's other ways that you can be of service and and actively fighting against that. And I think when I look at you, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are raising these great kids. You are, you know, active in your community and you are spreading love. And again, if we look back to that Maddie May episode and the Sam episode we just had, the lens of unity, yeah, but also the lens of love. What are you doing to spread love? And if you are spreading love, there's nothing to be guilty about. Truly.
I like that. I'm gonna hold that.
Yeah.
I'm
Hold that in
agreeing.
there. I like it.
It's going in the filing cabinet in my brain. I tell people I'm like that SpongeBob episode where they go inside his brain and it's like all
Go
the
to the
stories
yeah.
from that. That's how I
Oh my
process.
gosh, I love it. Oh, I can't. But yeah,
Sorry to get totally
no,
sidetracked from
no,
the original purpose of this.
that's okay. It's good because it was truly this month was about desire for me.
Yeah.
And it kind of sums up where I've come, like what I've read in scripture, what I've spoken to God about and prayed about and gone through my art therapy and just kind of sit. And so I'm like, okay, I had to kind of go work through my own issues, which are very similar to yours of like this, the guilt thing. I wasn't feeling guilty. I was more feeling conflicted because I unlearned like guilt like 2 or 3 years ago in therapy when I was just feeling so guilty about everything that was happening with Evan's family. I just had so
So
much
what
guilt.
did that look like for therapy? Like
So
and unlearning that.
yeah, so when I was in talk therapy with Camille, who I miss her so much, but she does not take my insurance anymore. She's great, but and also I'm moving anyway, so it's fine. But she was so crucial in helping me unlearn that. And she was like, I was like, I just feel so guilty that this is happening. And like, I can't and she's like, well, guilt again implies that you did something wrong. And did you do something wrong? And I kind of thought about it, I pondered, and then I said, no, I don't think so. Yes, there were a few things I did wrong. I think I could have been more proactive and, discussing this with them or maybe I could have, I didn't realize I was hurting their feelings and maybe part of that was me just being immature and part of that was me, doing, there's a lot of things that I do actually have guilt for that I think I did maybe do wrong. Did it did it what is the word? Deserved the reaction that I got? No. Um, but or warrant, that was the word I was looking for. Did it warrant the reaction or the response? Maybe not, but I can't control other people's reactions and responses to things. And so I was like,
Mhm.
but she was like, when you look at the situation as a whole, did you do anything wrong? Like, were you wrong? And there was things that like
Mhm.
really just like, let's try and let's look at the situation from a bird's eye view. Pretend this is not you. This is a friend. You're giving advice to your friend and you're just hearing the story. Are there things that you did wrong that you did not own up to? You didn't. And I was like, no, I mean, everything. I apologize for what I felt was my part in it. And um, even beyond what I felt my part was, I was just trying to make amends, whatever I needed to apologize for. And I really was truly sorry. And she was like, okay, so then you've done your part. So there's nothing wrong. There's no shame there. It's not guilt. I think it's just sadness. And
Mm.
so and she's like, when you're feeling guilt, I think you need to pause and say, is this guilt or is this sadness? Is because you can be guilty for things that you've done. Sure. but you can't transfer guilt onto something you're just sad about because you don't have any control other what's happening to these people or what their reaction is or what their response is. It's just sad. It's really sad that this is happening.
Yeah.
And so it took me a while to I literally would be like, oh, I'm feeling so guilty. And then I'd catch myself and be like, okay, am I guilty or sad? Am I guilty or sad? Did I do something? Well, I
Mhm.
did do these things. Like, okay, does that imply guilt? Because there's a level of guilt, right? Like, as humans, we all
Yeah.
kind of make
Sure.
mistakes, right? And so there's some
Yeah.
guiltiness that I think guilt can be really good because it tells us, hey, we did something wrong and we shouldn't have done that. And we hurt
Mhm.
somebody's feelings and we really need to go make that
Mhm.
right and apologize. Or, hey, we should have, no, like I really, and again, it's not a should, it's more of an action. Like, I think a lot of people feel guilty on things that they're not doing. Like we just talked about in this example. They feel
Mhm.
guilty and they're shoulding themselves. So that's another thing I tried to stop should-ing myself. Like, I should be doing more. I should be, protesting on the street. I feel like I just should be giving more money, but I can't actually do it right now because I can barely support my family, all of these things. And instead, I took the shoulds out and I tried to differentiate the guilt from the sadness. And I would say 90% of the things that I thought I was guilty about, I was actually just sad about.
Mhm. And I think it goes back to us, like, not really learning how to process our emotions and sadness. I would say sadness and anger are the two that
Hmm.
feel the most uncomfortable for me. And I wasn't given the tools to be able to cope through that and process it
Yeah.
in a way that is healthy. So I could see how it would spiral
Yeah.
into guilt. But yeah, I think it's such a nuanced topic of all the things because speaking about the shoulding, um, because I think people just look at the lens of what works best for them,
Hmm.
and they also involve their trauma, and so they're making assumptions and opinions based off of the life they've lived, which could be completely opposite of the life you've lived. And
Hmm.
for some reason, this was sitting in my brain about because I was processing, Sam's episode of like her wanting to have enough money to give to people, which is amazing. I think there are people in this world that are called and are able.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that scripture where Jesus is like highlighting the woman that gave a penny.
Hmm.
And he's like, this is more important to me
Than all
because
the
she's
gold.
given all that she has. And it made me think of my aunt from this weekend when we were doing the foster pantry Easter baskets for the kids. She was like, yeah, that's that organization that I make. Like she knits blankets and like sews quilts for the kids
Oh, I love
all the
that.
time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is enough. Like,
More than
I
enough.
just think the way people give is such a broad, you know,
Hmm.
spectrum. And I think all of it is just so wonderful. So I wouldn't worry about the social media post if you're not feeling called to it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry that you don't have enough money because I think sometimes even just praying over these
Yes.
organizations is just I would argue if not the most powerful thing you can do.
Well, I really
Um
feel like this our entire world, all these situations, it's like a big puzzle. And we all are our own unique puzzle piece in putting it all together. And so, I think for some reason there's such a big emphasis on financial giving and financial
mhm.
support. And now, that's kind of shifted to more of a outspoken approach of like speaking out against injustices, but there's no action behind the speaking out. Some people there are, but it
Yeah, like Maddie May, I would say, like, is one of those people that is like actively walking the walk with talking the talk. And I think
exactly.
sometimes there are people that have one or the other, and I think it requires
It
both,
requires
because
both.
at the end of the day, it's just like conflict seeking.
Yeah, but that is she's a
If it,
like she's a corner piece, right? I can't be a corner piece
yeah,
because I'm this piece, right? And I think everybody
Mhm.
listening is a different piece, right? And so maybe
Piece.
you are a corner piece. Maybe that is exactly what you feel called to do, right? And that is,
Yeah.
you do want to speak online. You do want to actively study scripture and go out and speak to people and kind of show them how, traditional scripture and text has been misinterpreted. Maybe that is
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
don't feel guilty or bad if that isn't your calling. There's nothing wrong with I think a lot of people again put out this thing of like, well, again, like just like you said, well, this is what I'm called to do.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with convictions. They put their personal convictions out on other people and say, "Hey, I am just not feeling called to watch TV. TV is bad. Don't watch
Mhm.
TV. It's not good for you."
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Mhm.
personal conviction. I think you can have a personal purpose and kingdom building style as well. So don't go push that on other people. Everybody contributes to the puzzle in different ways that are
Yeah.
still equal.
Yeah. It made me think of, I had to look it up on my phone. Sorry
No,
if
you're
that
fine.
was distracting me, but it made me think of the verse in First Corinthians 12:12, and it's unity and diversity in the body. And it, just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. So it is with Christ. For we are all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we are all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. And it goes on to say, now, if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body.
Oh, that like gives you chills,
Because I'm
Rebecca.
not an
Yes.
eye, I do not belong to the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the part in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? And it's a, it'll, I mean, it goes on through like 31 verses, and it's essentially saying we all bring something to the body of the church, which is us.
Yeah.
And we're all going to be different body parts, but we're all going to have such a crucial function of how we live out the intended design of human beings. And that is love the Lord your God and love your neighbor.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what we're trying to, like, in a long-winded tangent kind of way, because I feel like we're both trying to process at the same
We
time. We're
are.
like, okay.
But that's
And so I just think
1,000%
that
what it
sums
is.
it up.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We're all called to do different things, to have different desires, to have different purposes, and they are all crucial to the function of the church,
Yeah.
which is us as human beings and how we live that out into the world.
It is. Perfectly said. No,
And
no.
so I think that's like the apples and oranges comparing. It's like, let's just be.
Yeah, like, and how
and do
how
what
do
we're
you
called to do.
compare a foot to a hand?
You can't. I think that's what the verse is saying. You can't, because then where would the sense of walking be? Where would the sense of lifting be? It's all,
Yeah.
it all has an intended design and purpose.
So I think, we for people listening and they're like, yeah, where do I go from here? I would sit in prayer and just say, Lord, I just ask you to show me what part of the body I am. Where am I meant to be?
We're part of the puzzle.
What part of the
Yeah.
puzzle? What am I supposed to do? And what am I supposed to be for you? And he will show you. It will come. Like, you already know, it's already within you. Sometimes you just need like a little bit of reassurance, because I'm like that. I'm like, I know,
Yeah.
it's in there, but I just need a little.
Yeah. Need a little razzle dazzle
Yeah,
on top.
exactly. I needed to be like, yes, this one. This is it.
Yes.
This is your next step.
Confirm.
Yeah.
Confirm.
Oh, but that's changing. That's getting better. I'm getting better at my
I think
intuition.
that's great.
Um,
I think we all seek assurance.
yeah.
We want the confirmation.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's human.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a good episode, I feel like. It's the perfect way to
Hey, oh my gosh, you know what's crazy?
what?
It was so we started the episode of connection to body, and we just ended the episode with like, gosh, how the body of
See,
the
God
church.
keeps doing this. I keep setting out for
I
something.
love this. Like, it's my favorite.
I keep
My
setting out
favorite.
for something, and then I end up not going to. I'm like, oh, like my surrender year, right? I'm like, oh, well, or I wanted abundance. And then at the very last minute, he actually showed me that I got abundance through surrender. And so
Yeah,
it's the same thing. He's like, you've connected to your body through desire.
because your body is the church, and it's spiritual.
Mhm. Crazy.
I know. I love those moments where he's like, this is a terrible analogy, but like, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
Somebody's got something better than that. But
No, it's true. It is so true, though. He's like, no, the connection, like, oh,
watch
he's
this.
just so
Yeah.
good. Like, he's so,
I know.
it's so crazy. Well, this has been great. I am excited to kind of see. I don't know what March is going to be yet. It's the 9th currently. Don't know when that is gonna kick in.
It'll come.
It'll come. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the other two I felt like were pretty clear. This one I haven't really, but it's been really go and busy. So maybe I just haven't sat still enough to hear what he wants from me. So I don't know. Maybe I need to
Or
do that.
maybe it is, maybe it's connection to present, like present
Oh,
moment.
yeah. That, I could
Like,
actually see
with
that
this one.
because I was so present this weekend and it just,
Mhm.
but also it was warm. So I thought maybe I was just like coming back to life, where
Yeah,
you're,
we all were, but also adapting to that heat this weekend. We were
I was like sweating.
really, oh my God. Took us
I
out.
know. I know. All right. Well, I am going to go eat some lunch. I think we're going to drive home in a little bit. And then I got to do some work today.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Well, safe travels. Give the baby
Thank
the squeeze
you.
for
I
me.
will.
And tell Eddie congratulations on the book signing.
I will. He's so sweet. Like, he's so excited. So I'm really proud of him.
Oh, I love it. Filled his cup.
It did. It really did. So I think it gave him a little confidence
is great.
boost too. So
Yeah.
good.
I love
All
it.
right. Well, bye.
Thanks for being here with us today. If something resonated, maybe a sentence, a silence, or a story, hold on to that. If you felt seen or stirred or simply curious, we hope you'll join us again. Until then, stay open, stay tender, and remember, there's always a seat for you at the table.